I think the biggest ones for me, and this will kind of come up again a little bit later, is developing a team. And that, I use that word very broadly, kind of like the people that are champions and are super engaged and working towards similar goals. So that would include engaging students in being on the team, but also teachers and principals are really key. If teachers are supportive and will, in my case, let their students kind of miss class to engage with the program, or a little bit more flexible on how eating happens on the days we run our program, those kind of things are really key. So even if they're not super engaged, they don't need to be the biggest champion, they're just supportive. That's really huge. And I think what's made our program really possible is also partnerships with 2 charities. So in our case, Growing Chefs and Fresh Roots, that has actually allowed us to get creative in hiring chefs to work with me. That's been really big. So kind of looking at scanning who's in your community, what assets you have available. In my case, one of the parents from my school is a trained chef. There's actually a number of them, but he actually then was able to work directly with me and be hired. But really just having conversations with him, dreaming what could happen. We did a couple pilots, kind of figuring some of that out. And then also just looking at who's in your community. Even though we're actually in a very urban part of Vancouver, turns out one of my students' parents is actually a farmer that I knew from some of my previous work, so kind of getting him excited and figuring that out. And that was an easy win in terms of starting to be able to get some local product into our program right from the get-go, because he was excited about it and his son was eating part of the program, as part of the program, and got behind it that way. The other really big one that I think has helped our program be successful is making educational connections. So my role as a prep teacher is to teach what we call edible education. So grounded in the healthy eating portion of our physical and health education curriculum. So I run a program that is centered around kind of gardening, cooking, healthy eating, local food systems, and all the connections around that, primarily through a health lens, but obviously it connects to math and writing and reading and social studies and all the other things that we know that food literacy education does. But I think having that as anchored in my program, so technically what happens is reinforcing my program has also opened up a lot of doors to get people really excited about it, but also where sometimes there might be barriers of like, oh, we can't do that because it's my educational program and we are partnering with different charities and we're working with different people. A lot more things become possible. And I would also then say there's kind of like almost like a strategic way to anchor it in education that has made it successful, to be able to maybe overcome some of the barriers with school district or otherwise that sometimes these programs can bump up against. And then the other one would be just level of engagement of the kids, right? So they will eat things they see in the salad bar because they've probably munched or at least seen it when out in the garden, right? So it's just constantly reinforcing. The education we're doing around, a healthy and balanced diet is then literally represented when we come into the lunchroom to be able to eat as part of the program, right? So just having those kids engaged along the way. I'll speak to a little bit now and then probably come back to it, is we actually have a student chef team. So it's actually grades 5, 6, 7 students who apply to work with myself and the chefs and residents to prepare the food, right? So having student leaders involved, right? It's kind of building upon what we've done in edible education. Some preliminary cooking moves more towards advanced cooking, and their engagement, having the younger students see the older students, in this case, the grade 2 student seeing a grade 6 student actually have known that they've prepared the food and they're serving that food to them. I think just it's positive peer pressure in the best way that kind of creates that culture where everybody's into it. And I've been blown away how much students are willing to try something new, and we've kind of built that trust and that kind of that ethos of try something, and if you don't like it, no worries, at least you tried it, right? And I do a lot of taste testing, kind of formally and informally through my classes, so that the idea is when they come to the lunch program, they know what's going on. And we've also I did a lot of work the year before our program launched, knowing that it was coming, building expectation, especially with students, and allowing them to know what was coming, but also to get their ideas, kind of set some parameters around what menu items could be possible, because we do a full salad bar and hot entree, especially kind of mapping out what they'd like to see in the salad bar and what kind of entrees they'd have, that would fit kind of, with healthy local, would fit with the kitchen facilities we have, would fit with the skill level of student chefs, and would also be cost appropriate, right? I mean, one of my favorite examples is a student who wanted tuna tataki. I'm like, yeah, it's delicious. I like tuna tataki. Probably not something we can serve in our lunch program, at least at this point. Though we've gotten pretty creative and done some pretty fun stuff.